We have this from the Sun, New York Sun. ACLU files class action to bypass Supreme Court decision on birthright citizenship. They say, nope, actually they say nothing. We're going to pass this.
Because it's paywall.
It's paywall. Groups opposed to Trump's executive order limiting birthright citizenship are attempting to find new avenues to block it. So as we were discussing in the previous segment, basically, they've made an argument for the unborn here, which sets them up in a really interesting position in that many conservatives are already saying, how can you argue for the rights of the unborn while simultaneously arguing that they can be killed whenever the mother decides?
I think, it's the same thing I said just a few seconds ago. You can't.
You can't and be consistent at all.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Well, my personal take on this, which is no one asked, but it's that I think the baby should be treated as the mother until the baby is born of the mother and then no longer attached to the mother. If the mother's illegally here, then the baby's illegally here.
So, are you saying that if a mother wants to have an abortion, she has to commit suicide?
No, I hope that didn't.
All right. Well, let's read it. They say exploiting a possible loophole in a Supreme Court decision. I love how they wrote that.
Not a loophole.
That limits sweeping. This is insane. Exploiting a loophole against Trump's executive orders. The American Civil Liberties Union. Oh, they're saying that ACLU is doing it. Are now filing a class action against the president's plan to restrict birthright citizenship. The lawsuit charges the Trump administration is flouting the Constitution, congressional intent, and long-standing Supreme Court precedent, and requests an emergency restraining order. The case is filed in the U.S. District Court in New Hampshire on behalf of a proposed class of babies subject to the executive order. Every court to have looked at the cruel order agrees that it is unconstitutional. The deputy director of the ACLU's Immigrant Rights Project, Cody Wofsy, says in a press release, the Supreme Court's decision did not remotely suggest otherwise, and we are fighting to make sure President Trump cannot trample on the citizenship rights of a single child. So here's what's interesting. I wonder, do you know if the actual filing is publicly available? Let me see if I can find it.
I think it is. I assume the ACLU put it out there.
Because I'm wondering,
I saw it at PDF.
I'm wondering what their class is going to be. Because what if Trump just says, what's that? Your class in this class action are going to be babies potentially subject to the termination of birthright citizenship. Okay, I'm going to revoke citizenship from 12-year-olds, toddlers. What is the qualification going to be for class? And can Trump simply say, okay, I'll concede that one, or while we're fighting that one, I'll target 2 and up.
Yeah, it's tough to specify a class when you're dealing with every single person that's possibly here as an illegal immigrant. You can't just say, oh well.
Here it is. I got it.
Good.
I'll send you this.
Everyone of an age, like every single human of a certain age.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to base it by just age like that. You can't say, oh, everyone that is a citizen or everyone that's under X age is a class, but then once they're over that age, they're not. When the context is immigration, because either they're either illegal immigrants or they're not. Their birthright citizenship is in question, or it's not because of their the conditions of their birth.
Yeah.
All right, let's pull this up. Let's see what we got going on over on page 9. Where are we at? So here we go. And this is where it specifies the class.
With the proposed class.
Proposed class. Let's see. The class representative plaintiffs. Which section? Me 42.
Yeah.
Seeks to represent the following proposed class: all current and future persons who are born on or after February 2025, where the person's mother was unlawfully present in the U.S. and the person's father was not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth, or the person's mother's presence in the U.S. was lawful but temporary, and the person's father was not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth, as well as the parents, including expectant parents of those persons. Is that a little broad?
I mean, I think it reflects the arguments being made by the executive order, right? Basically, the executive order says if you're not the child of a citizen or a legal permanent resident, then you don't get citizenship. And so this class, I think, is properly worded in the sense that it's just covering everybody born after the date the executive order was issued, who is not the child, who is born in the territory of the United States, but not the child of a citizen or legal permanent resident.
No. Let me see. It says all current and future persons who were born on or after. That's an interesting question there. What about somebody who would have been born on, say, February 21st? So, then it's moot. I mean, as to them, it would be moot. So as of the argument right now, What if there's so here's an issue I have with this. There are currently future persons that would be part of this class who may just be aborted.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if they are aborted, that doesn't change the ability of this to potentially grant relief, right? It would just be moot as to them because they're not.
Well,
they're not in a position to claim or not claim citizenship.
There's a challenge here I see in that when we look at the 3/5 compromise, let's go back to Civil War, right? The Southern Democrats were basically saying slaves should get a vote. Mm-hmm. And the North said, what? These people have no volition unto themselves. They're slaves. They can't vote. And so they compromised. They said, we'll tell you what.
And it's not even that they said slaves should vote. It's that we should get more representation in Congress based on non-voting slaves.
Yeah.
I thought they wanted them to vote.
No. That's not the three of this compromise is we should get credit for our slave population in terms
towards
of
congressional apportionment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I stand corrected. My argument still, however, is that if you were to make an argument to the government that we should be granted something based on this class of persons, who, by the way, we can kill whenever we want, it's kind of like, hold on there a minute.
Well, then they don't have personal rights.
Why should the government grant anything to this class if, say it wasn't say it was just like a single woman, let's say 10 women. Mm-hmm. They go before the judge and they're all pregnant and they say, we demand the rights of our babies be protected and we are filing on their behalf because they can't represent themselves. Mm-hmm. And the court then says, agreed. Then they go, okay, now we're going to go abort them all. And they won't exist to receive relief. Mm-hmm. There's a problem here. The idea that you can kill who you are representing, I think presents a problem in law.
But this seems to only affect people that are already all born.
It says future persons after February 2025.
All current and future.
No, it includes the unborn.
Who are born
it includes not just unborn, but literally non-existent.
Oh, right.
It includes like people who don't even
exist. It includes people who are not yet conceived.
Yes, correct.
Mentally and physically. So let's say a woman right now is 1 week pregnant. Let's say she's 6 weeks. She just found out. She can, that life in her is represented before the United States government for relief. And then as soon as the relief is granted to that person,
yeah.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Will, can non-persons seek relief before a court? Can they have standing on anything?
No.
Well, then what the is going on?
It's the word person, but it's also...
I think that actually is the real argument here. I think the real argument is that this class, I didn't really think about this hard, but I think this class has to fail because I don't think non-persons can be...
Can a dog sue?
Standing.
A dog is not a person.
Dog can't be a member of a class.
And a baby gets personhood upon birth. As far as capital P,
currently
legal
yes.
personhood, yeah.
That's part of the reason why it's okay to abort a baby.
A dog can't sue there are criminal laws against animal cruelty, but a dog cannot sue for like a tort, right? For being assaulted. And get money damages from his owner. That's not a thing.
Could you file a class action suit on behalf of all pit bulls?
No, you couldn't.
No.
Oh,
you couldn't.
Well, so why do they use the lowercase p in the word person here? Because there's the uppercase p, which I see in legal documents indicating this is the legal definition of the word person, and then you see the lowercase p just generally talking about people.
Well, I don't
know.
Generally, when something is in uppercase, it's like it's a defined term within that brief, right? Like, so class representative plaintiffs would have a meaning for the person of the brief, and proposed class, you'll see that in caps. So when they later say proposed class, rather, they're referring back to the same thing.
This is pretty funny that they literally said future persons because, as you've stated already, this is somewhat like there's a guy and he's got his gametes and there's a woman with their gametes. They've not yet met, but there's a future person at some point who has legal standing despite not even being conceived of.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, and I think that, I didn't used to think that because I thought, oh, well, everybody's injury is kind of the same, but if they're suing on behalf of the children and not the parents, the parents are
the only legal issue I suppose they could state with this class action then is if the court rules in favor of the class minus potential people, it would only be grandfathering those in now.
Yeah.
And Trump could then go after, they'd have to sue every time Trump tried to challenge birthright citizenship.
Maybe, but eventually it would get to the Supreme Court probably. I mean, and if the Supreme Court ruled, then it would,
depending on the question asked of the Supreme Court.
Right. I don't know. It's tricky, but it does actually mean that it's very, very tricky for a district court judge to grant class-wide relief here.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Trump admin can what if they come out and they go to the court and say, we concede future persons are a class that exists. That's all we wanted to say. Thank you and have a nice day. And that means the unborn are legal persons.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that works because it's not one of those things that might be concedable in the sense that the judges just might not allow it, right? Like they have their own rules.
Well, I'm kidding. I'm saying if the Trump admin came out publicly and said, we agree that future persons have legal standing. ACLU, your move. And they'd be like, they're not.
Well, it's more like the Planned Parenthood people would call up the ACLU furiously and be
I'm surprised they're not.
Case.
I'm surprised they're not already on the phone with them, sending emails, furious.
But even if future persons was meant to apply to only those future persons, they could have just said
potential children.
They could have just said all who were born on February 20th or after. I get that's still the same argument, whether they said future persons or not. But what they're basically saying is, even if their argument was just there is a baby gestated at 3 months who we want as part of this class, they're arguing that they have legal rights to be represented for. If that's the case, right now, every pro-life group should try and represent the exact same class of people and say, we believe that all current and future persons should have their lives protected under the law as any other persons. And if future persons is such a class, you cannot kill them.
Oh, could you imagine if they were like, if people started saying future persons are a class, and then a woman who wants to get pregnant gets attacked or murdered, they'll be like, it was a double murder for the potential possible kid she might have had. I mean, can you imagine that rabbit hole? We can't allow that.
A guy walks up and says, we actually had planned to conceive a baby in a week. So a future person was killed. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.